So Victor, this isn't the first time we've met, okay? You're one of those guys that I see at the racetrack all the time. When I was 16, 17, still just figuring out how to handicap, I ran into you here and there. You never knew who I was, I'm sure. And then there was one time where literally it was one of the last days at Santa Anita, and I needed a ride, and I saw you, and you and I were talking to some people, and I know you're not gonna remember this, but literally you and I hopped in a car, and we went to Barry Abrams' house with, I think, either Barry Abrams or Hector Palma, and we actually partied a little bit. It was kind of fun. Like, as a 17, or I think at that time I was probably around 20, 21, but I've always thought you were such a humble guy, just down to earth. You and I both kind of have our spiritual side. We both meditate, right? You're into that?
Yep, I into meditate, yeah.
Yeah. You believe in Jedis, right? I mean, Chrome.
Chrome.
We both believe in Chrome, who I was moved by early on and called him a Jedi once, or twice, or 10 times. But I've always looked up to you, man. I always just want you to know that I have a lot of respect for you as a rider, as a human, and I'm big on energy. So, like, one of the things that I like to always think about is, like, is the energy, like, right with when I'm putting my money, my hard-earned dollars down on horses. I don't really like putting it on dark energy. So anytime I see you on any of my horses, I get excited. I'm always happy. I know you're a badass. I know you won't screw it up most of the time. Maybe 5% of the time.
Maybe 5% of the time. Yeah. Exactly.
But yeah, I want to go deep, man. I want to ask you a lot of questions about you. I want to find out more about your love life, your riding life, your connection to how you're one of the best, of all time, like, your rings. But let's start with, like, jockeys versus horses.
Mm-hmm.
So in your estimate, right, do you think jockeys have as much influence on a horse race as people customarily think, or do you think they dictate about 10-20% of the chances of a horse to win, or do you think it's 50-50? Do you think it's pretty much in their hands, and the horse obviously matters, right?
Yeah, of course.
So how do you explain, like, your participation or your influence in the outcome of a horse race?
It depends.
Whatever do you mean?
It depends. It depends, and okay, there's just, because don't forget that we run in 2 different circles.
Yeah. Well, 3 if you want synthetic.
Well, synthetic don't count over here in California.
Yeah.
But
For the most part.
yeah, turf or dirt.
Okay, so it matters more?
It matters more, because I can tell you by being around the jockeys and know most of the jockeys, some of it, for some reason, they ride better in the turf than the dirt. But what matters the most, the horse or the jockey, it depends how you look at it. Obviously, you look at your size like a handicapper, right?
Yeah,
And
horse player.
Horse player, basically.
Yeah.
So what that you played most of the times, the performance of the horse, I mean, you had to study numbers or whatever it is. I don't know how to gamble, so I had no clue. But you study to, like, the horse, the performance of the horse, or that you include the jockey too. It depends on what jockey who rides the horse.
So you're asking me?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So do I look at the jockeys? Yes. Okay. So the mathematical part of my mind's degree in engineering from UCLA is going to say that this variable has this amount of percentage in this context, and nobody's really going to want to hear that answer. So yes, but I think sometimes you guys are like IT people working at tech companies. If shit goes wrong, it's your fault. But if everything's going great, you don't get enough love.
No.
So I would say that jockeys probably don't represent more than 10 to 15% of a race in terms of me evaluating a probability on a horse. So my job is to, like, say, okay, this many horses in a race, like, every horse has this percentage chance of winning the race, and these are some horses in this race. I just can't figure out how what their odds should be. So it's chaos. And then I'll look at a jockey and I'll say, okay, this horse has this jockey in this context, and I'm going to go ahead and bump him up because I know this jockey is probably going to send this type of horse, right, in this context. So for me, speed jockeys matter more than jockeys that aren't speed guys, but there are certain jockeys that might be more off the pace, and then all of a sudden I know they're not gonna, if I think the race is gonna be slow early, I think that they're gonna get too far out of it, and they may not have, I don't know if it's the clock, or maybe they're not looking at the racing form and they're gonna be close enough. So
you basically look at the race like a technical engineer. As we jockeys, we look at race with common sense. What the horse is like. How I can, for me, I speak as a jockey. How I can, go and ride this horse to perform better than the last race.
yeah, right, because you've been riding the same horse typically.
Even if I don't ride the same horse, even if he's a different horse.
Yeah.
But for me, as a jockey, I want to, get this horse to perform better than his last race. How am I gonna do it? With common sense. To connect to the horse and see how he like it. Maybe I would change a little bit his style to what he was running before, because if his performance is not that great, why would I continue to ride the same? So I had to make a little change, which is your guys gamblers. You're not aware of that.
We're not aware of that, no.
Yeah, you just think as an engineer had to move numbers and
It's a problem
and put
sometimes.
it together and all stuff, right?
Yeah. We're not in it. Like it's like watching football from a distance.
Yeah.
Like I played football, and I played for a year and I hated it. I was on the line, and when you're in the line and you're in the trenches, it's hit. You have no idea, just memorizing these codes to move your body in certain directions. Whereas you're a spectator, you're seeing, oh, why isn't this guy getting to the quarterback? Why isn't this person getting open? Why isn't there separation? So it's interesting. We can't go there though, because we don't get that information like in advance, and we don't know. Like, so would you say there's a big difference between you and a lot of the other riders? Like in general, like how much of riders are about the same? Is it 10%? Every jockey has about 10% difference in them to be able to do certain things that other jockeys can't? Like, how much difference do you think you have versus other jockeys?
It's a big difference. I don't know about percentage.
Yeah, I throw numbers on you. I know it's good.
Yeah, it's very little technical for me, but as a percentage. But it's every jockey is different. And I mean, obviously, like we're humans. We all humans. Like every person thinks different, and they're gonna ride the horses different too. I mean, things happen during the race for a reason. I mean, I hear probably you've done it before because you gambler, right?
Yeah.
If you lose a race and you're gonna think this jockey, why he don't go in there? Why he's win? Why?
Yep.
There's too many whys in there. But it's a reason sometimes that we do that for obvious reasons. Maybe the horse is just he don't want to perform as good as like going inside or outside. So we got to make a decision. How okay, just give an example. If I'm behind horses, and if he between those two, behind the two horses in front, if they open it up, and I'm trying to go in the middle, but sometimes the horses get there and they they slow down. They don't want to just go in there.
So they don't like going between horses.
Basically.
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes. So I had to make a decision just to go out, and when most of the times happens in the turf, when you try to move out, and suddenly the horse in front of me, or the horse in front, they just decide to go out. And in the turf, the horses, they're very sensitive. in the like right in the elbow when you turn into a stretch.
Yeah.
Because if I follow this guy who's in front of me, if the horse didn't want to go in between, so I had to make a decision to go out. And when I decide to go out, the horse in front of me or the jockey in front of me decide to move out too in the same time. So they caught me off guard. Then like, but I already committed to go.
Yeah.
So in that point, it's like a wait. We move out and we like. The horses is so sensitive in the turf that one little move, I mean, you can go like all the way to the middle of the racetrack, and it can cost you the race.
Yeah.
And your opinion as a gambler, you're gonna say, this jockey, what was doing?
You know what's funny is I don't actually blame jockeys anymore. Like, okay.
Not anymore. You
know-
said it, but you done it before.
Yes, I have. I mean, there's just times. But okay, so let me ask you a question. One of my friends brought this up. Midcourt, Pacific
Midcourt.
Classic.
Uh-huh.
He usually runs his best on the front. Why didn't you send him?
Not necessary.
Not necessary. Why?
No.
Because you broke good.
No. The horse is he performed in front and in behind as good as you know. It's not necessary to go in front, Midcourt.
Okay, so you.
Because I went from like way back with him in Del Mar when the first time I rode him.
Well, he did win his most recent wins in the last
One of
year.
my
or so.
recent wins, yeah.
We're better at Del Mar on the front though. So like that's.
Because there's the way the race is set up.
So certain races might favor him to go to the front, but you
Yeah.
didn't want to go with maximum security for whatever reason.
No, it's that I don't want to go. It's because there's two things against Midcourt that I have going to the Pacific Classic.
Okay.
The one thing is the Midcourt, he's always slow out of the gate. He never breaks fast.
Yeah.
And it's a type of horse that he do his own thing. It is, for me, sometimes it's a little bit like stressful because he do not want to do what I wanted him to do. I had to do things in his terms.
Yeah.
And it's not so great because the time before, the race before the Pacific Classic, same, he breaks slow, but I was outside. I had the outside post.
Yeah. So it would be.
So
harder
I
for
was
sending,
I was
yeah.
gonna just follow maximum security, right? Because he broke like 4 or 5 lengths in front of me. But because I was outside, so I was like, I encourage him, just time it the way he likes. Because I cannot send it hard, otherwise he will not go.
Okay, so you're saying that if you tried to send him,
He will not go.
he wouldn't have done it.
No.
Okay.
So I had to just go in there.
Yeah. So it's basically
with him.
you broke good, you broke clean. You get out there and you can tell he doesn't want to pull, so you just have to coast. And if you do push him, you think he's going to resist, or
Oh, he would stop.
he would just basically
He
stop.
would stop.
Interesting. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we don't see as gamblers, we don't have any insight into
Yeah.
any of that. But like some people will be like, why would you let the horse go to an easy lead and so forth? And so like that's what we don't understand the mind of a horse, right? Or the mind of a jockey.
Yeah.
And you don't understand necessarily the mind of a horse, but you're way more intuitive and way more gifted at it than anybody,
Yeah.
right? Or the jockeys especially are, all of you all. So, so how I guess that just drives us nuts though, man. Like
Yeah.
sometimes, we just
I mean,
don't.
even for me, so I have it in the Pacific Classic. It was the number one.
Yeah, he was on the rail.
So the other horses, High Power is number 2, and all the rest of the outside, right? So because Midcourt he breaks slow.
But he didn't break
and-
slow in the classic. He broke fine.
No,
You thought he broke a little slow.
very slow.
Okay, so relative to when you, because when you watch it on the tape, it doesn't look like he broke that slow, but you're saying that he just wasn't.
No, when he broke out of the one hole, and maximum security was 3 lengths in front of me.
Yeah.
And High Power it was 2 in front of me. So I'm like here.
But it looked like on the
but
ride that you didn't make the decision to go. Like when.
No, I can't send him, because when there's 3 lengths in front of me,
Yeah.
how are you gonna send him out in a quarter? And I'm inside. So if I decide to so I can't really push him hard, because if I send it, I might take the lead all the way when you first, cross the wire, maybe for the first turn. If you. So think about it. How much I had to use the horse out of the gate
Yeah.
to take the lead?
Yes.
A quarter mile.
Well, yeah. So if you do you think if you would have just had the strategy straight away that I'm just going to go, like I'm just going to go for that rather than wait to see what other people are doing? Do you think it's still the same, or do you think?
I probably finished last.
Okay.
Because I had to use it from the gate all the way. I might take the lead to the turn, maybe no. If it's the case, okay, I'm gonna go to the front, but I'm gonna take the front all the way to the first turn. So it's a quarter mile already that I use it. So
Yeah, I get
what
that.
do I have to the end?
So what I would say is, given the fractions of that race, and it didn't seem that they were going that fast early, that I
Yeah,
think.
but don't forget, if I go to the front, the fraction is gonna be pretty fast, both of us,
True.
because I had to push the other horse,
Yes.
right?
Yep. Yep.
And then I'm probably done by the basically middle of the turn, basically turning for home. I'll be done.
yeah. See.
I will be finished last. Why would I do that? Why would I abuse my horse
Yeah.
to
no,
finish
I-
last?
Well, it's more like this. When you watch his other race,
Yeah.
and he went to the front,
Yeah.
and he was kind of encouraged to go to the front.
Yeah.
He set very fast, like decent fractions,
No, he can go.
and so he was able to do it a mile and eighth, and he almost beat maximum security, or it was mile 16. You know, in the San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Even though he got beat, but
Yeah.
I'm saying, but those fractions were pretty fast, and he was able to hold on.
But
you know.
it was the difference is that like when he broke outside, I did not send him.
He just went.
Just went like with yourself, and I was planning to finish to follow maximum security, and then as I get like without even like sending so hard, I was right next to Mexico and decided to take him back, and I was like, okay, I'll just let it go because Midcourt, when you're trying to hold him,
Yeah.
sometimes you decide to just stop.
Yeah, he's a
He
quirky
has his own,
horse.
he has his own idea, so it's very difficult to ride a horse like a Midcourt. So I end up to going in the front, and I say, okay, if you notice every time that I ride him, I just let it go,
Okay.
without even holding him, because if I try to rate him a little bit,
Yeah.
he might stop in the middle of the race. So it's
Interesting.
complicated to ride a horse like a Midcourt, and that's exactly what happens in the Pacific Classic. So it's a mile and a quarter, and I'm an inside. If I had to decide to use it for a quarter mile
Yeah.
to take the lead,
You
the
just didn't think
fractions
he
are going to
would-
be. There's no way. There's no way.
So
And
so
I
that
will
was
finish
your,
last.
but that was more your decision, or was Sheriff's to give you?
Well, just more a combination because there was not my decision to take it back. It just happens, the way
Yeah.
he broke.
Yeah. Yeah.
It even in the race, I don't want to be behind the horses.
Yeah.
You think I want to be behind? No, it's more easy just to go, right?
yeah.
But sometimes things don't work out the way we want it, and that's exactly what happens in the Pacific Classic. Now, if I was outside, it would be a completely different story, because he could have just run free, and he might take the lead or might not. But I could have pressed the pace a little bit faster,
Yeah.
because I had to push him to go quicker. Instead that I'm behind block with the high power is just sitting in there, but looking pretty in there, and with that they're pressing the pace a little bit. And I'm stuck inside. It's like, can you guys go a little bit faster? No way. And it's like, what can I do? Just wait and hopefully that I can run it dominant. But it was so hard, and
I don't blame you. I'm
it was
not.
just
I'm not,
one of those races. No,
Yeah.
that's fine.
Yeah. I just want you to.
But
I
I'm
think
just
it's. Yeah.
disappointed that,
Yeah, it's
I was
very
just
good.
trying to give a little explanation why and how the race was set up. Now, if Midcourt, it was easy to ride, flexible horse. They're like, okay, I'm gonna go to the front, and when I send it, he will go. Then I will be in front.
Okay. So yeah, that's what horse players
Yeah.
need to relax on is,
Uh-huh.
is blaming the jockeys. I think in general, I just you have to be responsible for your own decisions, and you guys risk your lives. Like it's insane for us to sit here and complain. Like literally, it's insane. Like you're going.
Hey, I complain too.
Yeah. Well, you can complain, but somebody sitting on their couch watching a television set really has no. I mean, one thing about horse players is we lose so much of the time, right?
Because you're basically starting with the mentality of an engineer with a computer.
Oh, don't talk too much trash on the computer.
That's why.
This is a nice like gold-colored machine here that's got a lot of
No,
precious
forget
IP
about
in
it. That you deal with horses. They're like humans. There's times they're like, hey, they're gonna decide not to run.
Yeah, and humans are
Same.
impossible to understand. So
Exactly. So are the horses.
Yeah.
But think about it. Like, do you feel like working every day? It was the times that you're not gonna wake up and they're like, ah.
You know, it's interesting. I think one of the reasons that I've gotten to, be one of the top guys in terms of the cash tournaments, winning like almost $1.5 million now in these games. And I think some of it comes from mind, body, spirit, right? Obviously, I've always talked about that on the reality show, on Esquire, the horse player show. Talks a lot about being in Zen, being clear body, making clear decisions so you understand what your body's telling you.
Yep.
Right? Like, because my body has seen 100,000 races, it knows like way better than my frontal cortex of my mind, Because like we always think we know it all, but our bodies know way more, right? There's a book called Blink that talks a lot about that too. But there's something to just being quiet, understanding, what exactly your strengths and weaknesses, and then once you've developed the muscle to understand like the best way to be profitable, it's counterintuitive. So most people think like when I say you lose a lot, it's like baseball, but worse, right? You fail 70% of the time, you're awesome. But eventually when you fail and you throw enough interceptions like a lot of quarterbacks do early on in their first few years, you start to know, what your range is. And as a guy, there's a couple things that have helped me. Failing a lot, and I'm curious to hear this on your side about with how you got so good at understanding animals, but like failing a lot and not being afraid to fail, making dumb bets, like even on the show I made a $20,000 bet on Palace Malice in the Classic one year. And the other thing that it's helped me is being an athlete, and not a traditional athlete like you, but running 1,000 miles every year for like the last 10, 15 years, and understanding what, like you said, what if you don't want to run? Like, what if a horse doesn't want to run? And people just don't understand that concept. So that can help as a gambler, or as a guy who's trying to predict the future. Like, I can understand sometimes the patterns that go around when a horse isn't ready to run, and seeing that in the way that they're mentally before a race, or in the, even when they start running, you can kind of tell. And those are tips. But ultimately, I think like understanding your body and knowing that it's not, humans are not robots. I mean, robots are coming, but horses are not robots. So I think we just sometimes need to check ourselves. And because also, horses just go up and down in form, and is it mostly mental? Is it like, why do horses go up and down so often, do you think?
There's a lot of things. I think depends how far they run. Like, has to do a lot in the distance, and also the time in between race. So maybe if you run too quick, maybe the races in between is way too many days between those two races. Maybe in the conditions there are other one that there it just is not good enough for that condition, and also the track conditions.
Yeah.
Sometimes the track is pretty heavy, sometimes it's not so great, and the horses that will not perform as good as the time before.
So going on that line of thinking, do you think, is Del Mar pretty much the same every day? Like, would you say like 95% of the time, or do you think it changes a lot?
Change a lot.
A lot, really?
Yeah. Lately, Del Mar is more consistent. Santa Anita, forget about it. Santa Anita is just almost race by race change.
Race by race, really?
almost.
Just in terms of like, are they putting a lot of water or just dragging?
Look,
I mean, I would think they're pretty consistent though.
no, I'm not an expert when it comes to the track. I'm just, for me,
No, I
I'm
respect
just
your
a
opinion.
jockey, but as a jockey and been, riding for so many years in those tracks, and the way the horse is running and the footing is just changing every single time. And I wish I know the answer why they do that or how. I mean, I'm not an expert in that. They're like, maybe need more water, maybe need glass, maybe they need to go a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit, tighten up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think like Santa Anita has that dirt, the material is not really good.
Well, isn't it
It's just-
isn't it the same as Del Mar though? It's the same exact like El Segundo dirt, right?
Come on, El Segundo dirt. What's so great about it?
I'm not the
Yeah,
expert
true.
either. So that's what they tell me.
Yeah, that's what they told me too. But they say it's the same, but honestly, it's not the same. To me, maybe because we're close to the ocean
Yeah.
and the weather is different.
Okay.
It could be the same, but the weather is different. So to me, the track is complete.
So really, that's a big statement. Like that's a massive statement for horse players to really digest. So do you think like when you look at the grass, is it also? I mean, is the grass pretty consistent because it's pretty much the same all year round and about the same cut, or do you think that they change it a lot too?
Del Mar is consistent.
Okay.
Again, Santa Anita is not very consistent when it comes to the dirt or the turf.
Do you think that they should? Do they tell you in advance? Like, I mean, because you don't even get to ride much on the grass before you get on it. I mean, do you get like a heads up? Hey, it's a little shorter today, or we did this more water. Nothing. They just
No, they're not
okay.
gonna tell you. No, you figure it out in the first race.
That really pisses me off actually that the track doesn't disclose to you for safety reasons, but also just in general for horse players, like customers, right? We're the ones that are paying for the horse for the purses and whatnot, not taking anything away from the owners or the trainers, the jockeys, but like we deserve a right to know what's happening to the surface, like even race by race. If what you said is true and you're feeling like so when can you tell based on the pounding on your body when you're riding the horse that you can tell, oh, this is harder, or is it just the way the horses are grabbing it, or what?
Yeah, both. I mean, the horses, when as a professional jockey that you've been riding for so long, the minute the horses break out of the gate, you already know like the horses struggle. They're forcing themselves to run,
Yeah.
and does that mean the track is not in their favor? It's not maybe it's safe, but it's not the horse's favor. So they're gonna struggle, and when that happens, they get tired, and then they get more tired easy because they use too much energy in the beginning. So you don't have nothing left, and sometimes that's why they're failing it. And as the gamblers, we think it's like, why? You see the numbers because you guys go by numbers.
Yeah,
Right?
I mean, we
Pretty
have to have some
you get an idea.
type of numbers to be able to
Yeah.
understand. Now, to be honest, like some of the best decisions that I've made in my life, you take the numbers away because you get to a place, the math gets you so far, and then at that point you have to stop and you have to say, okay, how do I make a decision? Like in a tournament, like there might be 3 horses I love on a day, and there's like, I don't know, I can only in order to win the tournament, I have to go all in.
Yeah.
So I have to walk away from 2 other bets that I like because I know I'm not going to hit all 3 if I tried. So numbers matter, but there's this quiet little voice or little knowing that happens because you've seen it enough times, and like for me, it's you feel the pain of losing, and then you're like, okay, I don't ever want to feel that again. And it's maybe for you as a jockey, maybe I don't want to lose this race if I don't go for the rail and take a chance because that hole looks big enough, like, and maybe you go. But
I think my recommendation for all the gamblers,
yeah, please give us some insight on that, because
it's important to you can watch for the first race for any track that you can, and you get an idea how the horse is running for the first race.
Okay.
So you pretty much got an idea what is going to happen for the rest of the day. Because the first race is, you can see if the track is slow or it's a little bit fast.
Yeah. And we typically do that. We typically watch for instance, bias is a thing, right? The rail can be golden, the outside can be better, closers, speed horses. We pay attention to that. When we see certain horses move up that shouldn't, that triggers an awakening. But do you think that, how do you find biases too? Do you ride the track early in the morning, or does it change and then by the afternoon do you guys talk in the jockey's room about it ever, or everyone just kind of has an idea of what the best part of the track is, and it's just the mum is the word?
Don't forget that we're not as a team in the track sheet.
Yeah.
So all the jockeys we can be friends outside or in the jockey's room, but in the track over here, they're my enemies. I'm not going to tell her anything about.
Well, I figured you don't have one homie that's in there that you're like, you know what,
Yeah.
this guy, I'm curious, I like him, he likes me, we're going to share a little
Sure.
information?
Sure, no.
No? Never?
There's no such a thing.
Why don't they like you? What's the deal? No, I'm just kidding.
It's not me, it's everyone. It's equally everyone. It's not gonna.
Yeah.
I mean, we're a lot of, my team is the horse that I ride, basically.
Okay, so it's kind of like same with horse racing. Like
Yeah.
I have some friends that are really, really smart. I grew up with, and part of this little nickname called the Pick Six Boys, and we don't really talk about what we're doing when we're in tournaments, and even before, because we're so competitive, and we've been competitive for since we were 20. So how much of the time do you feel like the track is biased? Like once a week, and on both surfaces, grass and dirt. Do you think it's rarely biased as long as you have the right horse, or do you think it's one out of, I don't know?
Grass is more consistent, because the grass you can't change it that much. I mean, what are they gonna do? Put a little bit more water, and that's about it.
Or they could cut it maybe a little different, but I doubt they would.
But
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
No, it's not such a thing. The turf is gonna be consistent,
But
especially in Del Mar, because it's 2 months, so you can't do much in the turf.
But let's say, for instance, at Del Mar, there hasn't been as many wire-to-wire winners, right?
But that's been the whole meet since the beginning.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So that's technically a bias in a sense that you probably would rather not be maybe in first.
Yeah, but there was no change since the beginning.
Fair. So
in the dirt,
there's day-to-day biases, and
Yeah.
there's the track
Yeah.
overall. Where's the best place to be? Like in the Derby, you want to be in the first few lengths, that kind of thing.
I don't believe in that.
You don't believe which part?
And what part of the track is deep inside, the outside? I think that was the mentality they have before.
So they've improved their grading services, so you don't feel there's as many biases inside, outside?
No, never have. I hear when I start my career, it's the jockeys that used to run on the track. It's okay, the track is heavy inside, outside is a little bit fast. I never believe in that, and to this day.
Okay.
I do not ride the track inside or outside because it's heavy, outside because it's not.
No,
To me, it's not such a thing. I mean, I don't even care about that, honestly, since the day I started my career.
Okay.
I hear about it, but it is, to me, I want to be a little technical.
Yeah.
Now that not make any sense, because
Well-
I never can figure out, and I win races, many races without even study the track inside is heavy, outside is fast. To me, it's the same.
I mean, I agree, but I also disagree. I mean, I'm going to disagree more than I agree, because basically there are, I think, evidence-based when we look at the numbers, and you start seeing horses improve maybe a couple lengths faster than they have before, and then what happens is they come back after that and they don't run as fast. So I don't know if you can tell though when you're on the horse if the actual dirt is is giving you more bounce or more momentum. But I mean, we see it as gamblers. There are times where you see it. Like, I mean, even at Del Mar on Breeders' Cup Day, I think the first day on the Breeders' Cup Day, the inside was doing pretty good for some horses, and some of those horses didn't come back and run as well. But I mean, I hear you. I don't know if you should be that tuned into it to actually make a bold move to change from one place to the other, unless you have a speed horse and you know that the inside's good. You should probably hustle your butt to get to the inside, right? But I mean, you don't subscribe.
No, there's no such a thing, because it's two different things. You said the speed buyer that is from one race to the next is faster than the other one.
Well,
how you look at that? How you know the last race the horse what part of the track he was running?
Well, you watch the race and you see. I'm saying if you see a horse on the inside do really well and run faster than normal, I mean, Del Mar's had these biases in the past.
Yeah, the past.
I mean, I'm not saying you see them as much anymore. I agree that's why I agree with some of what you're saying. I think they're probably overly talked about because of, again, horse players love to complain, and because again, the best of the best, we win 17 to 18% of the time. So like, it's a very interesting conversation that has math behind it. So there are different softwares and different people that share information around, did you notice that the inside was good? Like 2 or 3 horses won on the inside and so forth. At Saratoga, like it tends to pop up a little more. I know they have a new service this year. But like, you just kind of throw all that out the window, and even if a trainer says to you something about it, do you listen or no?
Not really.
No?
No, because how he know? How the track is heavy inside or outside?
Yeah,
he goes with somebody tell him, but he don't know either.
Yeah.
So, to me, is the same. The track is the same.
Okay. Even in the rain too, do you still feel the same?
Well, no, there's different stuff.
Okay.
And the rain is completely different. I'm talking about normal surface. Normal surface is the same, yeah. And the normal conditions the track is the same, either inside or outside. To me, it's the same. Yeah. Maybe the race before the horse ran, maybe they run a little bit faster because the track was faster, not just because it was inside.
Yeah.
Don't forget the track changed, especially Santa Anita. They changed like almost every day.
And what do you mean? What do you mean by change? Just this track superintendent rolls the dirt differently and packs it differently and adds more different waters.
I'm not expert in that. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But I know some days it's heavy and some days it's a little bit faster. Yeah. So it's complicated for all of us, not just for one.
How different is it in the mornings versus the afternoons?
Oh, big difference.
Big difference too. Yeah. I know that's one of the things that we struggle with, trying to understand when horses work out well in the mornings. Obviously, it doesn't always translate to the afternoons. Some of it may have to do with the dirt in the way it's packed and so forth, but we can't really use that to our advantage. So it's just...
That's why it's challenge. See, horse racing is a unique sport because it's challenge for everything, even for us. Even I'm a jockey, I never gamble, but even if I gamble, I am sure I would lose 60% of the time.
No, you would lose at least 80% of the time. Well, it depends.
Well, I'm a little bit more smarter than you think.
Well, honestly, I respect. I think that the only way to make money in horse racing is not betting the obvious, though. Now, if you're on the inside and you have a horse and you know like a horse is mentally getting ready to run a better race, I'm not gonna. I can't compete with that.
Can you imagine if everyone knows that the horse is gonna win? Come on, everyone who will probably, make tons and tons of money, right? But that's why it's so unique, because this challenge, and like as a gambler, you really have to concentrate.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yeah.
Complete focus.
You have to focus because you're gonna lose. You're gonna lose your money if you're not concentrating. But if you make a mistake, then nobody's gonna tell you that you're really bad gambler. Versus us as a jockey.
Well,
if you lose a race,
yeah.
How many people are they gonna criticize me?
Yeah.
Every single one. That's the difference. And no jockey won to lose a race because they don't want to be criticized that he's not good enough. Oh, he's just a bad rider. Everyone wants to win.
But I mean,
Everyone is studied different, and like I say, some of it is like anything else. Some of it they really want to be successful. They really want to dedicate themselves to be the best. Some of it, not all of them,
right.
and some of it like they just okay, I want to do good, but you're not willing to make an effort, dedicate yourself, and sacrifice, because nothing is easy.
No.
It's like any sport. Like I know, like I have a couple friends that play baseball, and when I went to one of their games to watch them, the best ones, they're like practice. You know, practice and the locker room. It's funny because it's the same thing. So I'm just giving an example that when I went to the game and said hi to them, they're like practice, and they would like we talk, but they're practice and concentrate, right?
Yeah.
They're players that are not so good. They're like sitting on the couch, play games, watching TV,
Yeah.
just relaxing, right?
And you're talking about professional and major league baseball
Professional,
players.
yeah.
Yeah. Are you friends with some of the Padres?
No.
No. You don't like those guys?
Oh, I do like all of them, but I don't know anyone in there. But you go in the jockey's room, and it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly the same thing. You see the top riders, they watch the races, they study the form, they do a lot of things more than the ones that are not so good. The average jockey just watching TV, play game, take a nap, and they expect them to go and ride and do better than the other ones. They're not gonna happen.
So what percentage of the jockeys actually handicap and read the form, do you think? Like half of them, the majority of them? Or?
The majority one.
Yeah.
For me, I mean, I can tell you, I am different, I guess,
Yeah.
because nobody teach me how to how to read the racing form.
Yeah.
And I think that, to me, the racing form and the race sometimes don't mean anything for me as a jockey, because I kind of memorize most of the horses how they run,
Uh-huh.
and I just want to know if any horse have like a little bit like what's their weakness or what the bad habits. That's what I want.
Yeah.
And the racing form, I can study the form. I can study the race in basically 30 seconds.
Yeah, I think you can pick up on how many front runners, where they're going to be, how they are. I mean, I think you get to a point, you get to a level, I can handicap probably faster than 99% of the people on this planet.
Yeah.
And it's, yeah, because your intuition's so strong and you just know like enough.
Pretty much.
But you still got to come back to the basics.
Yeah.
So then okay, so you look at the racing form, but you do it quickly. You kind of tend to skip to your own beat. You don't really play the biases as much. The trainers will tell you things, but you're kind of your own man. And obviously you've had incredible success. And does Baffert talk to you before Pharoah in the Derby or War Emblem? Does he tell you anything about these horses, or do you just do pretty much what you want to do?
No, we talk. It's important to have we work as a team basically.
Yeah.
When I ride for any trainer, we're a team, and obviously.
But you're the player; they're the coach, almost, right?
Exactly.
So
yeah. So we kind of go through and we talk about it, how the race is going to set up. But basically, we just get an idea. But things can go wrong, and I had to make my own decision. If I can make the right, it's not mean it's going to be the right decision, right?
Yeah.
So it's a big responsibility for me when things go wrong, and that's why the top riders are so good, because they can make decisions in a split a second, and they're not afraid to make decisions, and they know they're gonna, either work or maybe not. I mean, either you win the race, you're a hero. You're the best jockey in the planet. But if you don't work, then you're the worst jockey.
So did
But-
you? Okay, so then did you? So with War Emblem, did you know you were going to go to the front, or did you?
No, War Emblem is different because, Buffer, you just bought it.
Yeah, I mean,
You
fresh
brand
off the
new.
shelf. Yeah.
I had no idea the horse, how he even run. So, I mean, I was just with Buffer. Buffer and I were just talking about like, well, we'll see how he break out of the gate.
Okay.
I mean, if he breaks running, then go on.
Were you confident about him before the Derby, or was it because it was that the first time you got on him, or did you?
Yeah,
ride him?
that was the first time.
So you literally, when you were riding that horse, did you think you were sitting on a Kentucky Derby winner when you were walking, when you were kind of roaming around the track?
I think, well, for me, I'm always confident before the race. You have to have that mentality.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, come on. Are you gonna bet a horse? You thinking are you gonna lose?
No.
No, you better you go and gamble and bet this race, thinking oh you want to win. You don't think you're gonna lose. Same thing for me. Every horse that I ride, in my mind, I have a shot. I'm gonna win this race. Doesn't matter. I don't care about the odds. I never look at it. I just focus on the horse that I ride, and I know that I, think positive. For me, it's like think negative. Is might as well stay home. If you don't think I have a shot,
Yeah, no, I'm
then
with you, brother.
why would I go there?
No,
right?
no, my dad used to
That's
say the
it.
same thing before he passed. It's all about think positive, always.
Think
always.
positive and
Always.
go all in. And otherwise, if you're not, even if you have a question, like, oh, that feeling, that you don't have that feeling. Okay, should I have a chance or I don't have a chance? Then forget about it.
Okay, so
Like, no way.
So when you you talked about Pharoah, how you think that you really had a big part of him winning that Derby, because did you do something specific in that race to get him to get his mojo back, or did you just like, I mean, and again, I don't want you to give away your secrets or anything, but when you're riding horses, are you? I mean, I'm sure you're using your voice. I'm sure you're using different things, but like, was there a move that you went to, like kind of like off the dribble, like a crossover kind of thing, where you just?
Sure. I mean, at first, the team is the more important thing.
Yeah.
The most important thing. I mean, because it started with a horse, and it has to. I mean, everyone is involved in the American Pharoah. It started with American Pharoah.
Yeah.
It started who's the groom, even the hot walker, how he cool him down, and also the exercise rider, and it comes to the main thing, the training, which is buffer.
Yeah.
And if you buy buffer, he did not train the horse properly for the Kentucky Derby,
Yeah.
then
So you mean giving him?
nothing we can do about
So
it.
are there
We
things?
can't even win that race if you train it. You don't prepare the horse 100% going to the race like
Well-
Bob Buffer did.
Bob Baffert's the best dirt trainer, not by a mile, by a mile and a quarter, as one of my friends likes to say. And
Oh, you say that because you're friend?
my friend says he's
Oh, I thought it was your friend.
Oh no. So I mean I talked to Baffert before too, and I challenged him on some things because a lot of people have been, curious how he can have that level of success and and stuff. And I mean he just, whatever he's doing is just phenomenal. And so when he gets that horse ready for like the Derby, and are there things that when you're working out that horse before the Derby, can you tell, like, is it more that Baffert's getting him mentally ready, or is it more physical?
I think both. Honestly, like if I go to the Kentucky Derby and I know the trainer that he's preparing the horse 100% for the Kentucky Derby,
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be afraid to let her run even early, even to make my move early, because I know the horse is fit 100%.
Yeah.
So you give me that confidence that like, okay, even if in the 3As, even if I move early, I'm still not worried about it because he has plenty gas. He's been trained for this race, and hey, it's not gonna fail in the end.
Yeah.
So that's there has to do a lot for a combination, the horse, the trainer, and also the jockey. Because I was a professional jockey, I mean, I'm not gonna let her, and I'm not gonna be afraid to let make his move to like American Pharoah, let her run from the 3/8 to the wire, because I know he's not gonna get tired.
Yeah, yeah.
Because I know the trainer, he trained him like
So,
the best.
So ready. Yeah, he's so ready.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
and if I think the trainer is not, he did not train the horse that great for that race, then everything changed because
Right. You may not be as aggressive.
yeah, you had to be more conservative,
Okay.
and
So-
you had to time him a little bit more.
Okay, I'll ask you just a couple more horse questions, and I'll go a little more personal. And I know it's getting kind of late, so we're
Yeah.
under the moonlight almost. Not trying to make a move or anything, I promise.